Hey gamers, welcome back to another performance video. Now if you watched my previous PS5 videos, you'll see that I compared my PS5 with my LG monitor and I showed all the settings, the performances that it can do. I showed the resolutions and settings and whether it can do 120 frames per second. So I'm going to do the same thing with my Xbox Series X here in this video, so stay tuned. So I'll first start with Fortnite because it's the only one that actually shows me the FPS in game. And right here I just go to the settings and there's a 120 FPS mode that I have to enable. And then I'll minimize the game and I'll go back into the game console settings right here and I'll show you the resolutions that I'm running at. You'll see that I'm running at 1440p and it has 120 Hz on it. Another thing that I'll do is I'll show you my monitor info right here. I'll show you the video settings and it confirms right here that it's running at 120 Hz. And it's still running at 1440p because my LG monitor here is a 1440p monitor, so it's running it natively at 1440p. One last thing, I had to turn adaptive sync off, otherwise it sets my monitor to 1080p running at 120 Hz and it would not allow me to do 1440p, so adaptive sync has to be off. And this is actual in-game footage right here. It's running at 1440p at 120 Hz. And I'll try to show you right here. It's getting a consistent 120 frames per second. Even though I've mentioned this a lot that the rates are variable. You know, it'll be from 100 to 120. You'll get that range. This was something strange that happened with PUBG. Watch this. I went into the settings and I set this to frame rate priority, right? So I can get the fastest FPS on this. Then I went back out and I'm showing you the information on my monitor right here and it's showing 60 frames per second. It's showing 60 Hz. So I went to my console settings and I'm showing you right here my monitor info and it's set to the resolution of 1440p at 120 Hz. But then I flip it back to in-game and then you'll see right here that it changes it back to 60 Hz, right? So then I decided to do this. I went up to my adaptive sync and then I turned on adaptive sync, just as a test. And so with adaptive sync on, I'm still getting 60 Hz. So I was like, whatever, let me just play. But then I went back in and I turned off adaptive sync and check this out. The game set it to 120 Hz. And now my monitor settings is showing 120 Hz, which is really strange. So I just kept it at that and I started playing. And I'm going to show you right here again in my monitor settings. It's still showing 120 Hz at 1440p. So this was really strange. The graphics on this looks amazing. I can see the details in the water and I can see the draw distance as well on this map. And I'll show you again right here. See, I'm in game playing and it's 120 Hz. The amount of detail that you can see with the lighting and the shading that glistens off of the character and even the smoothness of the controller play, it's amazing. And so yeah, I can see a really good performance on gaming with 120 Hz and playing at 1440p. Even though I'm not as great as a PUBG player, you see right here, I'm just a beginner still. Another Xbox Series X title that supports 120 frames per second is Gears 5, and I'll show you right here in the settings. If I go to the video settings, it says right here in multiplayer mode you can play at 120 FPS, and this is an amazing game. I love Gears 5. It's so great how they made this multiplayer. I used to play all the Gears 5 games with a friend and we just sit back on the couch and just blast enemies away, but now that they have this multiplayer mode, it's so amazing and I love this mode. Like, look at the graphics on this thing. Look at how smooth it is, the gameplay. I love the dynamics, how they make them run. The camera shakes with it. So right now, this is one of my top Xbox X games on the list, and it's free with the Game Pass.
Hey, I have that one! Victory!
If you're wondering about playing games at 4K on this monitor on the Xbox Series X, yes, you can play games like Warzone at 4K. But what happens is that this is a 1440p monitor and this LG monitor can accept a 4K signal, but it just scales it down to my 1440p monitor. I'll show you right here on the monitor info. It's playing it at 60 Hz and at 4K, but this monitor is a 1440p monitor and it's accepting that 4K signal. And here's some Cold War gameplay at 1440p and 120Hz. We all know that Cold War can handle 120 FPS on the Xbox and the PS5, but the Xbox makes it a little bit easier. I didn't have to do any settings on the PS5. I had to set it to performance mode, and I had to do a little bit other settings on this. I'm taking advantage of the holiday season right now because they're offering this game on Xbox for free right now, all the way up till Christmas, so I'm just taking advantage of that. But I didn't buy this game. I'm still new at this game, and I'm just testing it out. But look at the field of view on this. It's so much wider, and I can see a lot more. It's so smooth, and gameplay is great, but I'm not used to the controller yet. I'm still used to the Warzone controller gameplay. Look at that, I just flashed myself. I'm gonna close it up with some Rocket League gameplay, so if you want to stay for that, but I'll leave it at this. If a lot of you guys are looking for monitors to play on your new next gen consoles like the Xbox Series X or the PS5, remember the consoles have an HDMI 2.1, and a lot of the monitors right now, including this LG monitor, they only come with an HDMI 2.0, but they perform really well and you're paying a very cheap price for it. So if you want to wait till next year or maybe even after that for a HDMI 2.1 that performs really well with 4K and all that, and for the companies to even release most games right now to even support 120Hz at 4K, you'll have to wait for that, but you'll also pay a hefty price. It's probably going to cost you around $800 to $1,000. So I'm very happy with this monitor that I got. It plays very well even at 1080p and 120Hz. I think the performance is amazing and the graphics is amazing. And with my Xbox, I play it at 1440p at 120, and on my PS5 a lot of times I'm even playing it at 4K at 60Hz, but then I'll switch it up to 1080p at 120Hz. And I'll also leave my monitor settings in the description down below, along with this monitor and the newer monitor too, so you guys can see the info on that. Go check that out, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace. Damn it guys, it stalled on me. What the heck? It's the first time a game stalled on the Xbox Series X. Please.